I am not on my game today with videos. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I'm weirdly distracted today. But, videos. Canoe trips. So, canoe trips. I like canoe trips. Canoe trips are easily my favorite way of just trekking around without having to, or with, it's my favorite way of just going without, like, having any sort of specific destination. It's just, you go and you look at things and you enjoy the way, because canoe trips to me incredibly relaxing. But I flippin' love canoe trips. They're incredibly relaxing. They're a good way to spot wildlife because you don't make a lot of noise when you're in a canoe. So so you get to see like eagles flying overhead, cranes, deer, see the odd depending on where you are, see the odd bear. I've never personally gone out of state, and I've never personally seen a bear on a canoe trip, but I have seen a family of bald eagles flying and hunting overhead, which was absolutely mind-blowing. And it's the only way that you can do this kind of stuff, because like it's the only way that you can go and you can see these kinds of things, because otherwise you either make too much noise or you move too slowly to be able to see any of it. And there's this big open area over top of where the water is, so you can see all the birds and you can see all the animals on the sides. But so I like going on canoe trips, and if you haven't been on a canoe trip, it's gonna happen. You know who you are. I love how threatening that sounded. That sounded like a threat. It wasn't a threat. It's not a threat. It's a promise. But I was thinking. So me and my mom, the last canoe trip that I went on was with my mom about 6 months ago, right before I went to boot camp. I think 6 or 7 months ago, something like that. Right before I went to boot camp, and we got up at like 7 in the morning. I slap on my sandals, my shorts, and my shirt, and life jacket. Strap the canoe to the top of the top of the car. Throw some snacks and my phone charger and all that different stuff into my dry bag, which is like a waterproof bag that you throw all your stuff in. It's just a backpack. You know those cinch sacks that you get from those really, really cheap backpacks that you can get pretty much everywhere. It's basically that, but waterproof, and it's super handy. It's super handy when you're going on a canoe trip, especially if you tip. But throw all my stuff in there. My mom brings a phone. My mom brings snacks, her phone, and a credit card for some reason. But I got snacks and my phone charger and mobile charger inside of this little floaty case that I threw into my bag, and then I strapped my bag to my chest, and then that's pretty much it. Other than water bottle, clip that to the side. But so we're going on this canoe trip. There's this river that's like 5 miles away from my house, up south that way, and it's just the wind, okay. But it had been raining for like a week beforehand, and you can only really go on this canoe, or go on this specific river after it rained, because otherwise where you go onto, it's way too shallow for my canoe personally. Some canoes you can. My canoe, not really. Mine's made of metal, so it sinks significantly more than wooden canoes or plastic canoes, and so
I have a
it's more stable and it's more durable, but it sinks more. So it makes it harder to steer, and it makes it harder to steer, heavier to carry, and more likely to sink down into the water, just a little bit more. But we're going down, and the entire river is rapids. We did not notice this until we were a good like half a mile up the river, and we were starting to hit rapids after rapids after rapids. They were small rapids, to. They were small rapids, to be fair, so it wasn't really that big of a concern. I'm good at steering, so I just flippin' okay. We're gonna flippin' cool. We're gonna flippin' cool, and it's fine, and we're good. Now we're on the straight and narrow. My mom is just taking pictures. My mom is taking pictures, like, not really paying attention to the river at all, because she's seeing cool animals, and she's taking selfies with her son, and stuff like that. And, fair play to her. But, we are going down the river, and my mom's taking pictures, and I see these rapids up ahead. And they're big rapids this time. they're very large rapids this time. And I go, Mom, you're gonna want to put your phone away. Mom, you're gonna want to put your phone away. We got rapids up ahead. And then she's like, okay, I'll just take one more picture, and then I'll put my phone away. She takes the picture. She goes, okay, now I'll put my phone away. And she goes to stuff it into her shirt really quick. She's got it like wrapped up in a couple of Ziploc bags. She goes to shove it into her shirt real quick. And by the time she finishes saying the word really quick, the boat has become sideways. We got launched out of the canoe. The canoe is now upside down, sinking into the river. And my mom had lost her jacket. Her phone got flung out of her hands and shattered at the bottom of the rapids against the rocks. The rapids actually weren't that deep. They were only about 4 feet. But with the way that the water was only about 4 feet at when it was level, so it's only up to about here. But the rapids were so ridiculous that the top of the arcs for the the waves were almost 7 feet high. So they went like a solid 1.5 feet above my canoe, plummeted water into it. It flipped us over, and then we planted face first into the water. And then all I can think of while I'm in the water is, well, we flipped the flipping canoe. I feel the bottom push up. One of my sandals goes loose and flows to the top of the water. I go, okay, where is everything? I see my sandal. I grab my sandal. I toss my sandal back onto my foot. Get some even footing so I can see what the heck everything is. I see the canoe over here. I see my mom over there. I see a bunch of our crap, including our oars, floating that way. I grab the nearest oar. Go over, grab my mom, pull her onto the canoe, grab the canoe, shove it up as much as I can out of the water, and flip the thing back over so that no more water can get inside of it. And I just pin my mom to the canoe, toss the oar inside of it, and then shoot off and grab the rest of our crap that's floating away and throw it back into the canoe, lose my sandal again, grab it, toss it back on my foot, grab the canoe, and start shoving the canoe, all of our crap, and my mom up to this little bank, this little edge of the bank up near the up on the side of the water. And I go and I shove her up on the land. She goes, okay, help me pull this thing up here. I go inside the water, and we're shoving the canoe up onto the land, and then like shoving it up there as much as we can. This is a 10-foot long canoe, so this thing is holding like 2 or 3 bathtubs full of water. It's very, very heavy. This thing probably weighs a couple thousand pounds, and we're shoving it up onto the land as much as possible. We got about a third of it up there, and then we started tipping it over, dumping some of the water out, pushing on the land more, and then just doing that in increments. And when we got the canoe back up onto land all the way, I stop. I have a breath. I go take a leak, and then we assess the situation. We saved all of our stuff. That's good. Nobody drowned. That's good. We still have all of our digits. No broken bones. Perfect. My mom lost her phone. My mom lost her phone in the middle of this. Her phone was what we need. We needed her phone. for my grandma to know where we were to pick us up. And she broke it, or she lost it, and it broke at the bottom of the thing. And at the bottom of the river, my mom goes, "You still have your phone, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, it was in my bag." She goes, "Check your bag." I take off my bag, toss it up in front of me, open it up. There's my phone, perfectly fine and intact. And we go on. It's like, "Do you have?" We go on. We set up a Google tracker on my phone to see where her phone was, and it was going along for a couple of seconds, and then the signal stopped, which makes us both think that her phone is now currently completely destroyed, and I need to send my grandma. We go over and we update everybody on what's going on, and then we update everybody on what's going on. We set up the tracker thing on my phone, and then we take another breath, and then we go out for the rest of the canoe trip, which is, we were out there for a solid 9 hours after this, by the way. We didn't tip anymore other than that one, because my mom became a much more vigilant spotter. The person in the front of the canoe is in charge of navigating and reading the river. The person in the back is in charge of steering and making sure nobody tips over. So, steering, keeping track of supplies, and making sure nobody tips over. My mom became a much more vigilant navigator after these happenings, and we're going down the river, and there's all these little spots where there's grass coming up out of the water, like just touching up over the top of the water, and we're going, "Oh, holy crap. Well, that was an island in the middle of the river, currently flooded over with water to the point where we could actually go over top of one of these islands on my canoe, which is a solid 6 or 7 inches into the water, and not touch anything." It was absolutely hilarious. When we went to the when we got to the end of this canoe trip, we got to the end of the canoe trip, and we were meeting up with my grandma. We needed a place to bring the boat onto land so that we could stop next to a road, and then my grandma would come and pick us up. So we did. We missed, I think, 3 different spots. We missed 3 different canoe landings to go and string our canoe up onto, so we could just pull it up and then get picked up at the nearest street and then get taken over. But so we kind of made up our own canoe landing. There was no canoe landings. There's apparently a thing online that you could look up for that, and we had no new canoe landings for the next 1.5 miles, which would have taken us about 2 hours. Or 2 hours, but about 1.5 miles, not 2 hours. It would have taken us about another half an hour, 45 minutes, but we were out of water. Very cold. It was 55 degrees outside, by the way. It was not 55, 58 degrees outside. There was basically no sun, and there was fog almost the entire day. It stopped being foggy around noon. So we got tipped over, and we had to be in like these soaking wet clothes for while it was less than 60 degrees outside. So we were cold, we were hungry, we were cold, we were hungry, we were thirsty, and we were tired. So we were like, okay, we're just making our own flipping landing. So when you do that, how to do that? You go to one of those spots where so you go to one of those places where the road intersects the river. It'll be like the bridges, and you go to one that isn't a highway bridge for obvious reason. You don't want to get picked up in a canoe on the side of the highway because you're going to get hit by a car. And usually those are way too high over top of the river to just pull your canoe up there. So we went to one of the lower bridges and we found a small clearing where the river slowed down enough so that we could just pull the canoe onto the land. So we came over there, hopped out of the canoe, pulled the canoe onto land, threw all of our stuff onto it. There's a big old fallen tree right in the middle of everything. So we had to lift the canoe up with all of our stuff in it, lift the canoe up, bring it over top of the tree. The canoe is like 250, 300 pounds. I can lift the thing up I can take the thing by the bars and lift it up, by the support bars and lift it up above my head with minor difficulty, or with lesser difficulty. But, it's hard, but it's not hard enough to where it's like, I can't move my body now. It's like, okay, flipping, this is heavy. Everybody get out of the way. But, it's everybody get out of the way heavy, not like, okay, I can't move now, kind of heavy. Anyways, enough showing off. Or, enough, moving on. But, so we're going, and we're doing all this. We're trying to lift the flipping canoe over top of these things and, like, lift this up this 10-foot ridge. It's at, like, it's, like, that kind of an angle. We're lifting this thing up this, and then bringing it up, and then setting it right next to the barricade on the side of the road. And then we're sitting there, and our grandma, about 10, 15 minutes later, our grandma finally finds us on the road. She comes over, she stops, she parks over on the side of the road. We get the canoe inside of the back of the van, and she drives over to this parking lot that's like right next to where we were. As we're strapping the canoe into the back of the van and securing everything, like right after we're done, we're all laughing, telling stories, having a good time, and then I look over, see a couple of signs, they're park signs. One of them said canoe landing. It took us 45 minutes to get the canoe up to where we had it on the side of the road. We could have literally less than 200 feet away was another canoe landing that was like behind the bridge. It would have taken me 10 minutes to pull the thing up onto the land, shove all of our stuff in it, and bring it over to the car. We're looking over this, and we're just dead on the floor laughing. It was hysterical. But, jeez, man. That was a fun trip, though. I don't think I've ever had a more fun canoe trip than that one. Sometimes disaster is what makes things great, not success. So, I don't know. Just look on the bright side of life. Always look on the bright side of life.